Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Alley-Oop program. In fact, it's week 2 of the Alley-Oop program. Thanks for all those that tuned into episode 1. And we've got a huge show coming up. A very special guest, Dorry Kordahi, one of the owners of the Illawarra Hawks, is going to join us. But joining me, and I'm Andrew Gaze, every single week is the great, the legend, the superstar, Lanard Copeland. Copes, it's been another busy week in the world of hoops.
It has been good, Dorry. Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here. I'm ready to talk hoops. A lot of things going on. Let's get to it.
No, there's no need to thanks for having me. We are together, my friend.
Oh, sure, I know that. I know that already.
But you don't have to thank me for having you, because you are part of me right now, my friend.
All right,
but we've got a huge show, as I mentioned. A good friend of yours, Dorry Kordahi, who's one of the owners and the primary owner, I guess you'd call him, of the Illawarra Hawks. He's going to join us. We had a long interview with him, and we've tried to cut that down a little bit, but very entertaining, engaging man in regards to what he wants to do for the Illawarra Hawks. So that's going to be fantastic. And the NBL, the free agency period, we're going to touch on some of the signings in the NBL, and a busy time with the free agency starting this week. And the NBA. Copes, the NBA, we're on the eve, well, when I say the eve, it's still a couple of weeks away of the season starting, but it's been a tumultuous time for the NBA. Still a lot of talk about the so-called bubble and what all that is going to entail. But have you seen some of the vision of how these guys are arriving and how the actual bubble looks?
Dorry, this is funny. Look at your boy. Look at your boys coming in here.
No, they are. And there's well, Joel Embiid.
What is he? Is he a doctor? What is he doing here?
What he is, he's a man that's very conscious about his health. He's got the full hazmat suit with him. And Copes, the thing about this whole bubble, if this league is going to work, it's the attention to details the players have to go to in order to make it work, because there's no doubt that COVID-19 is causing some problems, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of nervous NBA executives as we try to get this season underway. And also, there's been some fishing. Have you seen the vision of Ben Simmons? He's in beautiful Florida, and he's just out there catching fish. One of the things I wanted to touch on with you, Copes, and we're all about responsibility and the image that the NBA players set. But there's been some unusual activities going on as well. When you think of guys chugging beers and the way in which they're posting some of the goings on in the bubble.
Dorry, I said this last week. You got all these guys who have nothing to do but play basketball for a couple hours a day. Their time, they don't know what to do. You got fishing, you got beer drinking, you got complaining. There's a lot of things going on. But it's to be expected because they live that lifestyle.
Well, JJ Redick was the man who started it all off. Here is JJ Redick, and he started this, he called it multitasking. Just got in his little portable little ice bath and bang, thugs a beer and threw out the challenge. And Miles Leonard, he accepted the challenge, and he got out there and set it up, and he also chugged a beer. Now, it's all a bit of fun, and we don't want to take things too seriously, but when you talk about a league that is very conscious about its social responsibility, have they gone too far? Should someone be coming down on these players and saying, hey, we understand you're having a bit of fun, but chugging beers, that's perhaps the wrong message to be sending out to people.
It is the wrong message, Dorry, especially now during the pandemic. People are suffering. Although we want you guys to come back, we love sport, we love the game. Tone it down a bit, guys. You don't have to put everything on social media. Tone it down and get back to practice, and let's get this game going.
Yeah, for me, I'm not so sure it's a great look to have NBA players chugging beers. And I understand. I'm not trying to be rude.
It happens, sure. It happens. It happens.
It does happen. But
it happened in your day as well, so don't try to act like it never happened.
It probably happened a whole lot more in our day, Coach, because of social media. But I'm just not sure about whether that's the ideal look that you want to have with NBA players out there, engaging, encouraging people for that type of behaviour.
Well, it is, like I said before, it is something you probably don't want to put on social media. Although it happens, in every sport, basketball, cricket, tennis, whatever you want to say. Just probably tone it down a bit, take it off social media, and still have fun.
And Coach, no one likes a snitch. And we spoke about this in episode 1 when
snitches get stitches and put in ditches. Trust me.
Oh, okay. Well, the thing about it, which surprised me a little, is that you've got this bubble. And you mentioned it last week.
Yep.
You said someone's going to break down, and already you highlighted it on our little WhatsApp group that someone had tried to smuggle a female companion into the bubble.
Absolutely.
And brought that situation into just a bit of difficulty, as you'd expect. But there's word is that some of the players are actually, there's a hotline or somewhere that you can dob in someone that's not doing the right thing. Now, to me, I think good on them because there is so much at stake. This is billions of dollars and you've got to do it the right way. Is it going to cause some problems when we're encouraging people to snitch on her?
This is what I think about the whole thing. I think you need high-profile players like LeBron and Kyrie and all these guys that have been there and done that before.
Yep.
All the players in a big room and say, look, fellas, this is worth more than a one-night stand or having fun with a girl or having a drink. We're trying to put a sport back on the floor and sort of entertain these people that are during this pandemic. Slow down, do the right thing for a couple of months, and once this is over, you can have your fun.
Coach, and I'm not
But
putting
it's not going to happen. But it's not going to happen.
I don't put you in this category at all, and please
Put me in there.
No, please don't take this the wrong way. But you're a happy-go-lucky sort of guy.
100%.
And cast yourself back to when I think they used to play basketball. They might have still had laces in the balls. But back when you played in the NBA, Coach.
Yep.
Do you think that you would be able to control yourself in order not to break these very, very strict rules for a long period of time?
It's definitely going to be tough. I mean, again, that's why I say you need the stronger guys making this obvious that we're going to do the right thing. If you can't do the right thing, go home because basketball is more important right now. This billion-dollar industry is more important than a one-night stand. If you can't do the right thing, we'll see you later.
The other thing about the bubble, which we touched on previously, but as the players have come in and we've learned more about the experience in the bubble, there's been some really good things that you could identify to say, gee, this looks like they're really creating a comfortable environment. But some of them have been complaining about the food, about the beds, about not having enough blankies to keep them warm. There's been a few complaints coming through, and I think Jay Williams, who's an outstanding commentator, he came out and said and made a point which I absolutely 100% agree with. It's a bad look when you've got millionaires or billionaires talking about living in five-star accommodations, and he's suggesting that perhaps maybe the players are being a little bit too precious about the privileged conditions that they're normally accustomed to, that perhaps this 5 or 6 star accommodation may be not up to their standard. Have a listen to what Jay Williams said in regards to the players being perhaps a little too precious.
If you want to complain about the anxieties you have from COVID-related issues, I get it. Complain about that. We all have the right to complain about that. But when I hear NBA guys complaining about living facilities, food that they have being delivered to them, it is tone deaf. It is tone deaf. I want you to think about people who are everyday working people who are making minimum wage trying to make ends meet.
Sure, I agree with him 100%. These guys need to have a strong, hard look at themselves and say, fellas, we're making millions of dollars. We're living the best life we can.
Yes.
Better than anybody on the face of this earth.
Yes.
And because we don't have the food that we're used to, the steak and the lobster, we're going to sit here and complain and put it on social media. I keep telling you, I'm so glad when I played back in the day, there was no social media. I'd be done. I would be done now. So that social media is killing people.
No, I think it was really well said by Jay Williams, because it doesn't it is tone deaf, because when you see what's happening in the community with the hardship that so many people, not just in the United States, but throughout the world and here in Australia, despite us having a pretty good handle on this COVID-19 situation, still the people that are losing their jobs, people we know personally going through some hardship because of the restrictions in place, for them to have these players complain because the steak's not quite cooked well enough, the beds aren't quite cozy enough. Yeah, they've got to go out there and play and play to a very high level, and the eyes of the world are going to be on them, but just got to be a little respectful for what the rank and file are going through, because they are still, despite living in a bubble and for some of them being away from their family, they still are in an incredibly privileged situation. Coach, it's getting a little tough when you see superstars now, bona fide superstars coming down and testing positive. And this week the rumor was, and I think it was confirmed, that Russell Westbrook had contracted COVID-19. There's very strong rumors that James Harden, here we see Russell Westbrook in his tweet that he sent out and the words that he was able to use to inform everyone that he had this virus. And fortunately for him, he's one of those ones that appears to be asymptomatic. But do you get to a point, Coach, where you say, if you're the NBA and you're concerned about your brand, how many superstars, not forget about the volume of players that might get COVID-19, I reckon Adam Silver might get to a point where you say, well, there's the superstars, the Russell Westbrooks, those absolute, genuine elite players that get it. Is your brand going to be suffering, and do you just become a more souped-up version of the basketball tournament, which we've just seen completed?
Not a chance in hell, Drew. Not a chance. There's too many superstars in the league. Yeah, you lose one or two here or one or two there. The Brooklyn Nets, I think, have lost all of their superstars. Mm-hmm. But when you got Simmons, Embiid, the Greek, LeBron, you got all these big names. I don't care who you are, you're gonna tune in to watch these guys play. Now, of course, you're gonna lose a couple, like you said. Mm-hmm. There's enough going around on every team to carry that NBA for a long time.
Is there a trend going on since the season took that hiatus because of COVID-19 with body-conscious weight? Because we mentioned Marc Gasol last week. There are some players that have just completely bulked up, but then there's some others like Nikola Jokic is one that just lost a whole bunch of weight. Have a look at this. And then we see Carmelo Anthony too. He has trimmed down. Jokic, he looks like he's half of himself. Have a look at him in that vision there. And then on the flip side of that, you've got guys like Zion Williams and Rajon Rondo, who look like they've been in the gym. Now, unfortunately, look at Rondo. Look at your twin, Co. Have a look at him first for how he's bulked up, but just have a look at his Coach. I don't know what you were doing, where you were running around back in the day, because I'm seeing you as a 50-year-old man and seeing him, and gee whiz, there are some similarities.
Well, George, these guys have a lot of time on their hands. During the restrictions, you're at home. You're either going to lose weight or you're going to gain weight. And because they're such great athletes, the guys that want to drop that extra weight have been in the gym, their own personal gyms, doing their thing. And the guys that want to pick it up, Rondo, Williams, and these guys are really stacked on the muscle because they know it's got to be a hard season coming up. Now, before you go on, George, I want to talk about Williamson. He's put on more weight. He's put on more muscle. Mm-hmm. I don't understand how this guy is going to be able to.
Well, I think he's lost weight. I think his overall weight will be down. To me, he's toned up. I think it's been the right thing for him.
He's still very heavy though. And the way he jumps and runs and dumps that ball, I don't know if his knees are going to be able to handle that for an 82-game season. Not this season, but when he starts to play on a regular basis, can he handle that, or are we worried about him?
Well, that's the thing, and it's. I think we would have said the same about those other Marc Gasol, incredible, Jokic, just the weight loss they've had. And I say full credit to them, because you look at what they have to go through, like you mentioned, this condensed season, a lot of games, a lot of in a short period of time, perhaps not normally the same recovery they've got to go through. And to me, I don't know if it's just too simplistic, but you would think that having that lighter frame, less weight to carry around, it's going to help them. But whether it's any of those guys, including Carmelo Anthony and Zion Williamson, sometimes you're just better when you play a little bigger. It's just you're just the effort that
you feel stronger. You feel more confident about yourself when you're playing with that extra weight to bang with.
Yes. Well, Coach, it brings us to the next topic that I wanted to talk to you about, and that is, which player are you looking forward to seeing the most? Who is going to excite you? And when you turn it on the end of July in a couple of weeks' time and you're going to be tuning in, where's your focus going to be in regards to the player that you're looking forward to seeing the most?
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing Kawhi Leonard. And I've said this, and you know me, I'm a Clippers fan. But there's been no talk of Kawhi. No, they're talking about LeBron. They're talking about Williamson. They're putting all the focus on these other guys. Mm-hmm. And Kawhi's quietly doing his thing, working on his game. He was already the best, I thought, one of the best offensive players, but also the best defensive player. Now, imagine him in the gym working on that jump shot. He's unstoppable. So I'm looking forward to seeing him play.
Well, he was the major reason why the Toronto Raptors were able to win the title last season. Not just the incredible shot that bounced 14 times on the ring and somehow or other found its way to go in.
Absolutely.
But the MVP of that series, and justifiably so. For me, and two reasons why I'm going to focus on someone, I'm looking at Ben Simmons. Yep. Have a look at the man. He has been in the gym as well. Looks like he's toned up. Yes. And saw some vision of him during the workouts in Florida, and he hit a jump shot. He looked sharp. He was knocking down the three. And the things that I want to see is, one, is he going to be prepared to take that jump shot? And two, the big news coming out of the Florida bubble for the Philadelphia 76ers, apparently they're going to be spending, or he's going to be spending more time in shifting him to the 4 spot rather than playing the 1 spot. That is a big transformation for a player. But
let me ask you this question. How do you think that helps him? Or how does that help Philadelphia if you take the ball out of his hand? He's the most dynamic player with the ball in his hand because he gets it off the rim and he's able to push it down and pass that ball around. Now you put the ball in another guy's hand. Ben Simmons is not a great shooter from the outside, but he can play. We know that.
Yes.
Now all of a sudden, people aren't worried about that jump shot of his, and they go to double the big fella. How does that help?
Well, as I understand it, and I'm only going off the reports that we've read and we see on the social media, that Shake Milton is the one that's going to come in and spend more time as the point guard. They move him to the 4 spot. Al Horford then plays in the 5 spot. The thing about that is you get a little bit more from the perimeter, perhaps with Shake Milton out there, but he's still very young. And I like what I saw, but I'm not sure he's quite ready to assume that major starting minutes in that point guard spot. And no doubt that Ben Simmons will still undertake a lot of the point guard duties. I don't think they're excluding him from that, but just saying they're going to prioritise him as well in the 4 spot. But perimeter shooting was the key area that I think that Philadelphia was struggling with. And these days, Coach, a 4-man, tell me a team that doesn't have the stretch 4, the guy that can come out with all the amount of penetration that you're trying to get in the sets and the offenses that teams run these days. If you don't have someone who can knock down the perimeter shot and you can pack it in with Horford in there, I know Horford can hit a 3 as well, but it's an interesting move to bring Ben Simmons because what the dynamics that will have on the entire team. It's almost a whole new formula you're going with if you're going to put Ben Simmons in that 4 spot.
Do you consider Ben Simmons a stretch 4?
Not right now. No, I don't. He will do it in a different way. He can snatch it off the rim and push it down there. I think he's been really good on the box. He uses his size and that left. He can use his left and right hands almost as well as each other. So he will present problems, but it is a vastly different look. To me, it's not just him that the impacts; it will impact others down the list with what they've got. And unfortunately, another Australian that was going to be there, Ryan Brokoff, his wife has contracted COVID-19. He hasn't as yet gone into the bubble, and it's uncertain when he'll be coming in. But that perimeter shooting, if you're going to have Ben Simmons in the 4 spot, does become, I think, an issue.
Let me go on record by saying this. Shake at the point guard loves to shoot the ball. He's not a point guard. He's a scoring point guard.
Yes.
So with him shooting the ball, Ben Simmons will suffer because he's not a stretch 4 right now. If you got Embiid inside and you got a Horford inside and you try to put Ben Simmons inside, you're just going to pack it in. Now, I'm not saying he won't do well. I just think with Ben Simmons with that ball in his hand is a much better player.
Now, Coach, a lot of signings going on in the NBA.
Yes.
For this unusual, unprecedented. How many times has that word been used over the last 6 months? Unprecedented circumstances that we're going to head to. One of the surprise ones to me was Jamal Crawford, 40 years of age, and he gets picked up by the Nets. Is this a good thing or a bad thing? Why, if you're the Nets, I look at this and say, Jamal Crawford, I'm not questioning whether he's good enough to play in the competition.
Yep.
To me, I look at the Nets and they are not going to win a title. Right. They're not in with Kyrie not there and Kevin Durant not there. They go into this bubble situation and signs a 40-year-old that no doubt is going to help them. But wouldn't you be better off investing those minutes, that time, in a younger player, someone that might help you in the future, rather than someone whose future, just by the mere fact of his age, is very, very limited?
No, and I'm going to tell you why. This is what I say. When you lose KD, and you lose Kyrie, and you lose Jordan. You've lost your 3 main guys on that team, okay? And you've lost Dinwiddie as well.
Well, he was out. I'm not sure. Is he out for the –
He's out for the bubble. I think he's out for the bubble.
Okay.
So you lost 4 of your major players on that team. There's no way you can go into the bubble with 5 young players because you're not going to win a game. So you bring a Jamal Crawford in.
But, Coach, there's no – that's a good argument you've got, but there's no fans. It's not like you're trying to sell tickets. Of course you're going to be on television. Your fans are going to be watching on television. But in the big scheme
you're trying to tell me you want to send one of those teams in now to go 0-22.
Well,
what's it going to do for their name and their brand when we come out of this bubble? People are going to say they got nothing. So Jamal Crawford is a legitimate superstar who can score the rock. You need one superstar on that team, and I think he's the reason why they brought him in.
Yeah, but he's 40 years of age, Coach.
Dude, I played when I was 40. So what? You played when you were 40. So what?
Yeah, I know, but you're talking about a season for them. You're in this highly unusual set of circumstances, and he is not the player he was when he was 30. And he's saying is he going to be the difference between transforming your prospects from being okay to being poor?
He's going to be the difference in going 0-22.
No, he's not.
Sure, he can get it done. Listen, remember I said this, episode 2. Jamal Crawford will be very good in this bubble.
He's a good player, like I said. Now, if he was going to a team that was a championship contender, if he was going to the Lakers or he's going to contender to say, well, this could be that missing piece, okay, I get it. But the way I look at the Nets right now and say, well, what type of contribution can he make? Yeah, he could be a solid player, but wouldn't you be better off? I just think you'd be better off investing in someone that you may see for the longer term. Maybe that player that you're just going to give a little bit more minutes. Can he be a more significant piece the following year? Those types of things to say, well, let's use this for different reasons.
Well, you got 4 other spots that you can try those guys in. You still got to have one superstar on that team.
Well, he's certainly a big name, and he will create a bit of attention. But yeah, and I know it's strange because I actually support the veterans, and I think we cast away. We're very ageist. Yep. Here in Australia, we're really ageist in all our sports.
Yes, sir.
In the United States, not so much. So I think they value it a little bit more. We are incredibly ageist here, but that was one that I thought, it just caught me by surprise. Again, I'm not poo-pooing his ability. Very, very solid.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
No,
That's all right. That's all right. Let's get
not.
this on record right now. You don't want him on that team, and
Yes.
I do, and you'll see why once he gets on the field.
Well, it remains to be seen what happens, and that they are in a battle, the Nets anyway. So it'll be interesting to see what type of impact it has. But let's turn our attention to the NBL and what's going on. We've got this exciting free agency period, and the thing I'm liking about this free agency period is that the hype around it and the fact that it's been postponed a little bit this time. Maybe it's because we're starved of basketball news and NBL hoops, but it's kind of building up that reputation like you see in the NBA, where it's this, you get this player movement and who's a free agent, who's not, and a lot of big names that came out this week. The opportunity for teams to start signing players, and I think one of the biggest ones that we've heard so far is Chris Goulding, who's signed back up with Melbourne United, a 3-year deal. Does that surprise you that Chris Goulding is back with United, and not that he's just back, that he's back for 3 more?
Not at all, because he's a legitimate superstar. You've lost a couple of players that have gone overseas. Your imports, you don't know what imports you're going to get in this year, if any. And he's the type of player that can get you 50 points, and he's proven that. So, of course, you're going to give him a 3-year deal. And he's still mobile. He's still young enough to get a 3-year deal.
And Jack White is another signing. He spent the last 4 years at one of the most prestigious basketball programs in the United States, and that is the mighty Duke University. Mike Krzyzewski spoke glowingly of Jack White and what he brings to the table. I saw Jack White play as a youngster, and I saw him bits and pieces throughout his college career. Great athlete, needs some work on his jump shot. But do you like that signing as well?
Where would they play him, Drew? I was going to ask you that. What position would they play him in?
Well, I think he's versatile, which you need to be these days, and I suspect that they'd like to see him as the 3 spot. But right now, I think because of his athleticism and the way in which he can guard, he's a big, strong kid. But he can guard four men as well. So I think in that 3 and 4 spot, maybe at a pinch, if you wanted to go big, you play him as a 2 because he's got that versatility on the defensive end. But the big key for him, I think, is his shooting. He's got to develop that jump shot. He went through a horror period as a senior at Duke where I think he missed something in the order of 20 to 22 3-point field goal attempts in it consecutively. He's better than that, but he's another kid to look at. The other big signing, 2 Copes, is Cam Glidden, Melbourne Phoenix. That's a huge signing for them, I think, because you look at what they do, and I'm thinking from a budgetary standpoint as well. They take Ben Madgen, and we say, well done to you, Ben Madgen. Spent some time with the Sydney Kings. He's decided to hang up the boots, but he's had a fantastic career, not here in the NBL because he was only here a very short period of time, a relatively short period of time because he spent quite a few years over there playing in Europe, but across his entire career, just been a fantastic contributor. And I know Shane Heal speaks glowingly of when he coached him at the Sydney Kings of not just his playing ability, but his personality. And he worked out with us a few times in Sydney, so well done to him. But Cam Glidden didn't have a great season last season with the Brisbane Bullets. He had a year to run. He said, I'm out. Now Phoenix have picked the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix have picked him up. I like that signing.
I think that's a great signing. You know, you're right. He didn't have a great season in the beginning. And at the end of the season, he started to get his confidence back. He's a confident shooter. He knocks down 1 or 2 jump shots, and he can get 30 points in a game. So it's a great signing. He's boomer. He's a hard worker, a great guy off the floor, something they needed to fill Madgen's foot shoes.
And our old mate Jeff Van Groningen, we had him on the show last week. They have been super aggressive, the Adelaide 36ers, in putting a team together. They had a lot of changes going on. But Isaac Humphries, a player that we're really familiar with, big guy, 6'10". The vision that I've seen of him more recently in the G League is that he's really worked on his perimeter shot and he's knocking that down. Great talent, and he's a big pickup. And Keanu Pinder, rebounding four. His dad is in the DNA. His dad was Tiny Pinder, one of the all-time great rebounders in the NBL. So they've picked up those two along with Josh Giddey. The Adelaide 36ers, they are putting together a very nice roster.
I got to ask you a question here. Johnson and Isaac, both 4 or 5, would they both be on the floor at the same time, or would one play the 5 and one come back him up?
Well, I suspect that they're going to have to spend time together. Both of them are big-ticket items.
Yes.
So they are expecting that they can play together. And to me, it's what happens on the other end of the floor. Who is going to guard that athletic four-man that we're seeing in the competition these days? A guy like Tate.
That's right.
And now you could say, well, no one can, no matter who it is, you're going to struggle with a guy like him. But that type of player, it's more at the other end of the floor. I think they're going to have their challenges with Johnson and Humphries playing together.
Absolutely.
But I guess you balance that up and you say, well, we might have problems down on the defensive end, but gee whiz, we've got a couple of big targets down the other end.
Well, you better put that ball in the hole, because I'm going to tell you right now, if you got those 2 guys on the floor, and I'm playing in the 4 or the 5, I'm licking my lips. Not that they're bad players. They're very good players offensively. Defensively, they're going to struggle.
The other team that I want you to give me your assessment on is the Brisbane Bullets. Anthony Drimmick goes there. Harry Froling's going there. And then Tanner Krebs, a guy who's just come out of University of St. Mary's. He's signed there.
Along with our friend Jason Kadee.
Jason Kadee, he's got one more year to run there. But I'm liking, for some reason, I'm just liking what the Brisbane Bullets are doing. I think Drimmick is a great pickup. He's versatile, plus he gives a little bit of
grunt. Yes,
a little bit of mongrel.
Yes, he does.
To them. Talk to me about what you think of Harry Froling. Big guy, great touch, inside-outside guy, great rookie season.
Terrible second year. Terrible.
No, not terrible, but
really terrible, because we saw what he did his first year. You come in here your first year and you turn it out like that. You put on a show, absolute show. Shoot it. Did he kill us? I think he killed us when we were coaching in the Kings. He had a couple of games where he went off.
Yes, he did. I wouldn't say he hurt us badly, killing us.
Drew, he killed us. Okay, now listen. He killed us.
Yes.
To have him play the way he played his second year, I don't know if it was injury or the fact that he didn't get along with his coach. I have no idea. But if he comes back to Brisbane and plays the way he plays his rookie year, he'll be a magnificent pickup for him. A magnificent pickup.
Well, that's right. I think he's an outstanding talent. Weight. I'm just concerned about his weight. And it looks like he needed to lose. I reckon if he was able to trim down another 10 kilo. Now, that's almost a contradiction to what I was talking about before, because some players just carry a little bit more, and you put them on these crash diets and you think they're going to be better players, and sometimes they're not. I actually look at him, a young fella, and he, I think, is one that if he did just drop a few kilos, he can go to that next level.
Well, a little birdie told me last year he lost confidence in himself.
Yes.
He lost confidence in the coaching staff at Adelaide.
Oh.
And he just sort of lost himself. I mean, he started picking up weight. He didn't work out the way he wanted, the way he did his first year.
Yes.
So, again, I think this is a good move for Brisbane, especially if you got a coach in his ear and you got him doing the right thing. He goes to Brisbane. He loses the weight. He's fresh. His mind's fresh. Let's hope it works out for him.
Emmett Nart, who has demonstrated to be a real solid point guard. Nothing flashy about him. Very, very versatile in what he can do. But he's re-upped with the Brian Gorgon-led Illawarra Hawks. And another player that we are familiar with is Deng Deng.
Yes, sir.
A guy who's getting to that age. I think he'd be 27, 28 years of age now. Incredible athlete.
One of the best rebounders we've seen. When he wants to rebound, he goes and get that ball.
Limited opportunities when he was with us, with the Sydney King, the one season there. Last season, he was with the New Zealand Breakers, got no time with them. Has played overseas in Poland, incredible athlete. He is a player that you can speculate on that has a lot of upside, and I love him. You love him. Not just because of his basketball, because we got to know him. He's a tremendous human being. but he's one that has huge upside and really needs to have a breakout season.
I think if he has the opportunity and he keeps his head straight, he could be an absolute superstar in this league. Now, sometimes, and Ding Ding knows this, I've spoken to him about it. Sometimes he thinks he's a little bit better than he really is. But the good thing about Ding Ding is he works harder than anybody I've ever seen in my life. In the gym every single day. And then people go home and Ding Ding will come back that night and work out again. So that's a very good thing. Very good.
Well, Coach, when this podcast goes to air, times they might have changed and there might be some announcements. But you are very familiar with another guy that spent some time at the University of Louisville, Deng Adel. He's an Australian kid, grew up here in Melbourne. You worked out with him for a couple of seasons in a little academy that you were involved in. And word is that he is going to be one of the big name players that Brian Goorjian has identified and has signed. Give us the scoop, Copes.
He is going to be an absolute superstar.
Was he going to be here first, Copes?
I think he is. I think that you can't keep secrets in this league. Rumors are flying all over the place.
Yes.
Ding Ding is going to be in Wollongong.
Well, we know Ding Ding. He's signed. He's done.
Ding Adel will be in Wollongong.
Yes.
And if he is in Wollongong, he will lead that team in scoring and rebounding. He's an athlete who can get it done from inside and outside, and he works hard.
But let's get stuck into it. Dorry Kordahi, a good friend of yours. I got to know him well when we were in Sydney. He has taken on this huge responsibility of trying to transform the Hawks. They're no longer Illawarra and Wollongong, and we asked him about that name change at all. But before we do it, before I introduce it, I do have to admit that we had a few technical issues at the start of the interview when we were recording it, but we still got some really great information around Dorry Kordahi. And we started off the interview, in fact, you started off, Coach, and asking him about the Illawarra Hawks playing not just in Illawarra, but also playing home games in other parts of the region.
Look, for us, it's Canberra was on the cards, and the last couple of years, the Hawks did play in Canberra, and for us, it's about trying to expand our footprint. First and foremost, we want to get the foundations right and making sure that we get the fans on board. I'm happy to play 14 games, and the collective group, the owners, are happy to play 14 games in Wollongong, in the Illawarra region, but we need fans. We need the sponsors come on board. We can't be averaging 3,500 people a game or 3,200 a game and expect that we're going to be here in 10 years' time, because it does cost money to run an NBL team, as you guys will know, and there are budgets and salaries and staff, and you can't succeed on those sort of ticket numbers. So having 14 games in Wollongong, is that going to be too many games for a region of this size? Hobart's going to come in the year after. It could be up to 16 games at home. Is that going to be too much? So we need to explore and look at opportunities of where we're going to go with this and what is going to be that magic number. But I've said it all along, if we can get the averages up to 5,000 a game, it's a lot easier for us to develop a home base with all games played in the Illawarra region. That's our focus is to get the base right, get the structure right, get the foundations right, and get the fans in the door, and that's what we need.
Well, in order to do that, you've got to have a decent product on the floor. At this stage, I know free agency is about to start, and you've got some players that I'm sure you're trying to hang on to, but can you give us a little scoop about the type of player that you're trying to get? Who from last year are you trying to retain? And what type of, I guess, with Brian Colangelo out there, have you got a prototype of a type of import that you'd like to see on board?
Yeah, look, for us, it's about getting that, both of you guys will know Brian's game. It's a high intensity, fast paced up and down, that hustle, getting the players in and out quick. For us is we want to try to get the youth back and the guys back from last year. And that's our primary goal. We do have a few things that we're looking at in terms of player personnel. I won't sort of.
We know already, Joel. We know already. You can't keep secrets in this league now. We've been in this league a long time. We know what's going on.
Well, we do.
We kept our bid pretty quiet. I don't know about that. So that's what to do with that.
Yeah.
But look, we've got a few good signings that we're looking at trying to get out the line. as a sort of the start, we don't want to make up numbers in this league. We want to come in being very competitive from the start, and ideally, if you can make a top 4, that's our primary goal, and that would be fantastic. But our expectation is getting the core foundation right. But look, we do have a few surprises, and we're hoping that if we get this over the line, the Hawks will be up there and saying, we'll get some good kudos coming our way if we can get these deals done.
Are you still a City Kings fan, or City Kings out of the door now?
Come on, it's for me. It's a rivalry now. Me and Gordon down south. I know Paul Smith is from Wollongong, so it's like sort of crossing towns. So we'll probably try to send a few firecrackers up that highway, so that we can get a bit of that rivalry happening again.
Good.
And what about, have you found, as you've been out there, and I know that free agency is just starting, but we all know conversations are being had. Has there been any pushback or concerns from players just about where Illawarra is at, or the Hawks, I should say, are at, and their future?
Look, it's for us, we came in the picture a little bit late, and I know a few of the players have been spoken to by the clubs in relation to before we came on board, and look, and that's what it is. They're the cards that we've been dealt with. I think having Gorge there does give them that sense of comfort, knowing that we've got the right coach there. So it did put a few players on halt and not wanting to explore options, which for us, we were fortunate enough to sort of announce Gorge pretty quickly after our signing of our acquisition of the club. So it did sort of put a few of our junior players back into talking considerations, and we'll do our first announcement tomorrow in the free agency, and hopefully a few more to come thereafter as well. So look, I don't think it's hindered us, but we are behind the 8 ball on a few players that sort of did look elsewhere prior to us coming on board.
Right. Dorry, you've been around a long time, and you've known Brian for a long time. How in the hell were you able to get Brian Gordon from China? Everybody's been trying to do it. How have you been able to do it, Dorry?
Money.
Mate, no, definitely not money. Look, it definitely wasn't money. We all know that he's been paid a lot in China. But look, for me, it was based around friendship, and that's something that for us, we've always talked about this. From the days we worked together at the Kings. I always said to him, if I ever come back, I want you to coach, and we've always joked about it, and that's something that for me was a big play at going for the Hawks. And I said to him, mate, if I ever do this, you're going to come with me. And then when this came up, I said, mate, we're doing it. And I think he realised, okay, well, shit, he's serious now. So, but look, for me, it was based on friendship, and that's a testament to having those relationships over the years, and something that for me, I'm very fortunate that he accepted the offer, and he saw the bigger picture between Colangelo, Proctor, and myself, and what we can do together collaboratively as a group. So, it was definitely a bit of a push. Because he did sort of say no at one stage, and we said, mate, I'm not giving up, and you're definitely going to come back, and we're doing this no matter what. So
well done, pal. Well done.
Thanks a lot.
No, it is well done, but just on Brian as well, the personality type, you've known him for a long period of time. He is a competitive beast. Right now, you have given him 0 players. 0. Now, I know free agency starting, but how is he going to be? Because I'd imagine for you, this is going to be a big, long-term building project.
Look, it is, and if you're looking at building, the right team, you got to start with the right coach and the right organisation as well. So for us, getting Gorge on board was about building the foundation and getting that core group of players in first, and building from there as well. So we're not going to come in here and say we're going to win the grand final. For us, we want to be competitive and get that foundation right, and hopefully make a playoff spot. And that's our aim. And as much as Gorge is competitive, we all hate losing, and that's something that we don't want to do. So for us, it's giving him the tools that he needs, and building on the core players that we had last year, and seeing who we can get back from last year, and start building from there.
And what about in regards to the change of the name, which it was a controversial thing. What about from the fans? Because if you go on social media and you read bits and pieces about how others have looked at that decision, that it hasn't always been a positive decision from some of the people that you need to come in to wave the flags and buy tickets.
Didn't you have an argument or a big fight with the newspaper the first couple of days or something like that. I remember seeing
with
that.
the Mercury. Look,
The Mercury. There you go.
Yeah, look, I had a good chat with Julian. Look, they're all very patriotic fans. They're very, they're very passionate about the Hawks and about the Illawarra region, and I understand that. And for us is to build a viable model. Me going around and meeting a lot of the mayors of the city, and I met a few sponsors. I met a lot of locals. I was actually excited because a lot of them are all Hawks fanatics, and the support's there. It's just a matter of just engaging. And I think once they see that we're engaging within the community and that we aren't going anywhere, and our aim is to actually build upon what they've had, I think now they're slowly starting to realise that we're actually trying to do things right by the club, and not feel like it's being taken away from them and it's going to be shifted to another city. And that's not our intention. So I think once they see that comfort there, I'm sure they'll embrace back into what we're trying to achieve.
Well, it's not your intention, but I don't want to play on words here, but is there an element of, well, this is still up for discussion, or can you say, well, no matter what happens, as long as I'm the owner of this franchise, this is never going to go anywhere but within that Illawarra area?
Look, it's not, and that's something that I've said all along. Our intention, our goal is to have the Hawks, and it is a foundation club. And when you say the Hawks, you think Illawarra, you think Wollongong. That's not going to change, and that will never change. But the aim is, if we're having 16 home games, can we sustain 16 home games in the Win Entertainment Centre? Or are we having 12 or 14 and having 2 games in Canberra? They've been doing Canberra for the last couple of years, so I don't know why people are surprised that Canberra's on the cards. It's not on the cards, but trust me, it's a lot harder for us to build 3 fan bases or 2 fan bases in different towns than it is 1. And I've said all along from the start when I spoke to Julian, I said, guys, we need the fans to come along, buy tickets, we need the corporate sponsors to come on and invest into this club like we're investing into your community, investing into your club, for us to be a sustainable model. And ideally, we want to have every game in Wollongong, but we need fans to come and buy tickets. We can't do it with 3,000 people per game. It can't be done. So, and that's the true hard facts.
And what about that venue that you play in? Oh, we loved it when we played in there. It was
I dropped numbers. I dropped numbers in that venue.
Coach dropped numbers. There's no doubt about that. But a game this year, last season, had to get cancelled because there was a leak in the roof, the corporate hospitality, all those things that I think are very important as far as making this business model work. Are you satisfied that the venue is up to scratch and you've got a great deal?
Not. No, definitely not. I had a meeting my first week down. I had a meeting with venues in New South Wales and I said, guys, this is not acceptable. And they know that. And the good thing is that the NBL did put time involved with the venue New South Wales prior to us coming on board to start those conversations. And they've come to the party, and hopefully we'll announce something soon that they are going to sort of lift up their game. But overall, no, those seats, from what I've heard, have been there for 22 years or 20 years plus and haven't been changed yet. The spectator seats, and you meant to be changing seats every 8 years. So it is disappointing from from a government or a sporting perspective that they haven't actually invested in their venue. And I had meetings with various MPs down there, and they're all in the same agreement. So that actually they do need to invest a lot of dollars to get that venue up to speed. They acknowledge that now, they realise that now, and now they're going to sort of start investing to that stadium. And they're things that we're going to have these continued discussions with them and sort of work out what are going to be the main things that we want to increase and focus within our first season.
Speaking of deep pockets, we know Gorgon like you know Gorgon. Gorgon's a great coach. Gorgon needs horses to win, and Gorgon likes to go out and go shopping for the most expensive horses. You must have some very deep pockets down there in City, pal. You tell me.
No, look, you don't. Look, Cairns, when did Cairns finish off last year? Third, and their budget wasn't up there.
Right.
And and Gorge understands our position. We're in a small community team. We're not the Wildcats or the Kings or United. We don't. We can't afford to have deep pockets and blow the luxury tax cap out and get big horses. For us, it's about getting the players to buy into our culture and looking at opportunities. So. We'll invest in a few marquee players, as every team would, but we'll be within salary cap. Rest assured about that.
And what about the role Brian Colangelo is going to play? Now he's got vast NBA experiences. Hopefully, he's burner Twitter accounts all sorted, but we won't get into that. But what is his role going to be? How hands-on is he going to be with the team?
Mate, look, Brian's been a big help. Like, 2-time executive of the year in the NBA. The guy's got unbelievable experience, and bringing that to the table just adds another element of expertise, and that's something that I'm learning just by being around him. We're having a Zoom meetings every morning, like 2 to 3 hours every morning, which is why ours was a bit delayed this morning. But look, the guy's got a wealth of knowledge and expertise. So he's given us a lot of advice from an advisory perspective. Working with us around the roster, and also when you look at recruiting players, when you got a person of that caliber that can show a pathway to a junior or a player that's on our roster via Europe or via the NBA, it does add a lot of value there. So it's not always about paying big dollars to the players. It's about the opportunities that we're going to give these players and working within our program and the diversity you're going to get with the ownership group, locally and offshore. That is a massive value, and for us, it's all about what value can we give a player, and Brian can give us that, and he has given us that already, and that's something that for us with this ownership group, I don't believe any other club has got that dynamics to what we have. So that I believe is our advantage, and so Brian's been a great help.
Good.
Hey, and what about the venue? And we just touched about that. And are you going to be bringing anything different to the game day experience? New ownership, although you've been around before, national experience with Brian. Are we going to see something different? Can the fans expect something new?
Leave the cheerleaders alone, please. They're beautiful. Don't mess with them.
No, but do you have ideas that you think you want to try on the league?
Look, we do. We're going to get Brian into a cheerleading outfit, and he's going to set that out.
Yeah, jeez, good luck with that.
He was just in hospital today. We just did a bit of a knee op, and he was on the Zoom. It was on the Zoom conference without his shirt on, right. And he's looking pretty fit. So we can probably sort of give him a second job, within that group. But no, look, for us, it's about we definitely want a different game day experience. We have to invest into the game day experience, and that's something we're working with venues in New South Wales to sort of give that a bit more of an element and to improve that for our fans. So. And also the hospitality. So there have been key areas that we know that haven't been looked after in the past, and there's things that we are going to definitely improve. And the game day experience is going to be one of those areas that we want to improve.
Well done, Dorry. Good luck to you guys. We're hoping that you guys will win a championship. We know Gordon's his record?
Great.
His records, he hasn't missed a championship.
19 straight seasons, Copes, where he's made the playoffs. So.
Well, the funny thing is, like our game, the last year that me and Gorge were at the Kings was against the Tigers.
Yes. Yes.
And
you come up short, by the way.
I tell you what, if Dante Draper wasn't injured, we would have won that game.
And what a career he went on to have in Europe too.
He did. And look, me and Dante are still very close, as Copeland will know. Like, he came by last year to my New Year's Eve party at my house, and we had a cracker party. But like for me, it's keeping that camaraderie amongst the players and the coaching. But my aim is, I was really disappointed because we went game 4 at Melbourne.
Yes,
we were down like 14 points. I actually walked out of the stadium because I could have watched it because I'm about to lose. And you guys are bringing up the trophy, and so like, yep, here's the trophy. Get him ready to go. And I'm outside, and I'm hearing the whole stadium very quiet. I'm like, what's going on here? And I walk back in, and we're like down by 4. I'm like, holy shit, are we going to pull this off? And the moment we pulled it off, I'm like, oh man, this is. And I was very close to getting a ring within my first year. I'm like, this will be so easy to get the ring, and I missed out. So I'm coming back for this, and hopefully this will be the year that we do it.
Well, let me tell you this. A small piece of advice based on the experience that I think we've all had, and we're a little different because we've also had experience at the Sydney Kings. I don't think anyone in Illawarra wants you to hear you even utter the word Sydney King or Kings or in any way hope that they've won, previously won, will win in the future. They don't want anything to do with that when you're a Hawks fan.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm red, white, and black now.
There you go.
Well, we are very, very grateful to the basketball community to have the Illawarra Hawks. Well, I shouldn't say that. It's hard. It's going to take me ages drop the Illawarra out of it, to have the Hawks still in the competition. As you mentioned, they're a foundation club and they mean a lot to the competition, and it's good people like yourself that love the game, have a passion for the game, and most importantly, prepared to put their hand in the pocket for the game. It makes the league a much better place to be in. So we wish you nothing but success and good luck.
Thanks, Andrew. Thanks,
Thanks,
guys. I
Dorry.
really
Appreciate it, man. Good luck to you.
Appreciate it. Thanks a lot, guys.
Well, Coach Dorry Kordahi, he's a good man. He's putting his money where his mouth is, and he's got some huge challenges, but got to love the way he's going about it so far. Brian Goorjian, star, and already signed a few good players.
Smooth guy, loves the game, played the game, knows what it takes to win. And the fact that he get Brian Goorjian on board, then all hands up to him.
And Coach, what a period we're coming into with next season. You think of the Olympics coming up. We haven't had a chance to speak about it too much, but Tokyo Olympics players, and if you look at the next 2 or 3 years, you've got the World Cup women's basketball coming to Australia. We're looking forward to what we can do, and perhaps for the first time in Australian basketball history, we can get a medal at the Olympic Games. When we think of magic moments, none better than us. There would be none better than Australia getting hold of that first Olympic gold
Now,
medal.
Drew, speaking of magic moments,
Yes.
because we're having the FIFA World Cup and the World Cup basketball here in Australia.
Yes. Well, that's true. The FIFA one too. Well, congratulations to them. We're going to
chance of maybe getting on the board in this first
going to
half.
have the World Cup. Here it is. It's what a coup that we're going to have the Women's World Cup basketball and the Women's World Cup in football all in Australia. Well done, Australia. Fantastic effort to bring those marquee events to this great league.
Does that remind you of when you had to carry that flag for the Australian whole the whole of Australia?
Oh, look at him. Look at me.
George, just talk about it with me. Talk about it. Gives me goosebumps to see you walking around with that flag, brother.
Yeah, well, that is a magic. Thank you, my friend. It was a incredible magic moment for me, and to not just for me, but for my family, of course. When my dad played in the 60, 64, 68 Olympics, then he coached in the 72, 76, 80, and 84 Olympics.
Wow.
And I've mentioned this, and I talk about this moment because it's the thing that's I'm asked more than anything in the world is that particular moment, and a magic moment it was. But I am absolutely fully understanding that the only reason I had that opportunity is also because of the great work that my father was able to do. And it was my 5th Olympics, and what an honour to be the captain of the Australian team, and part of the responsibilities of being the captain was being the flag bearer.
Joey, how did you find out about it, though? Can you tell us how you found out about that?
Well, I was with Mark Recchi. Myself, Mark Recchi, and I, we had when you arrive into the Olympic Village, we had to go and do that is our team. We had to represent the Boomers on our arrival, and they had these big press conferences. And John Coates was the chef de mission, and he hosted the press conference, and he's the one that has the sole decision about who is going to be the flag bearer. So we did this, and in the press conference, some of the journos were asking me, because I was speculated as one of the candidates. And, when you're one of the candidates, the couple of months before the Sydney Games, every newspaper and online polls had, or who would be your candidate.
Yeah,
I was always mentioned in there, but usually Stone Cold Motherly. Usually the last bloke, not getting the votes required. So I didn't think I had much of a chance. But we were in there, and we had this interview, and John Coates was there, and we finished. And in the village where the media conference was, we were about, honestly, a K away where our quarters were, where our rooms were. So we were walking back, and just coincidentally, on the way back, we ran in. John Coates was there, and he called me and Mark Recchi over, and he said, "Oh, thanks very much. That was great. Really appreciate the press conference and all your help that you're providing us." And he just nonchalantly looked at me and he said, "Oh, and by the way, Andrew, I do want you to be the captain of the Australian team, and part of that honour, as you know, you'll be the flag bearer in the opening ceremony."
No way.
But he said it to me in that way. You know how someone sort of, and because of all the questions that I was asked, he said it to me in that way where you thought that there was going to be a but, unfortunately. You know, it's like that. And I was sort of there and we were listening.
You're waiting on the butt. Yeah.
And we were waiting on the butt. And no butt came. There was no butt. And then I sort of had to think, did I just hear that right? And I actually clarified. I was there with Hogan. I said, so you want me to be the flag bearer? He said, yep, I think you're fantastic. You're thoroughly fit the Olympic Games. Love what you represent, blah, blah, blah. And then it was just all of work. And then, so for the next minute, he probably spoke. I can't even remember what he was saying. But then after he sort of calms down, he said, now, Andrew, and Mark was there, and you too, Mark, you can't tell anyone. We're going to have the Prime Minister come in the following day, and he's going to announce it and in front of the entire Australian team. You can't tell your teammates. Do not tell anyone.
Joey, how many people did you tell? Be honest.
Well, he was there, and me, we were like, yeah, no problem, Coachy, all good. Won't tell a soul. I swear, I reckon he walked maybe 10 metres past us, and straight away, Hogan and I, we're on the phone. I'm on the phone, and you can imagine the euphoria and the excitement. I'm on the phone, and I call up Melinda, and I go, babe, you're not going to believe this. I was just with, and I started crying like a baby, and I can't get the words out. I'm that emotional.
Oh my goodness!
And she's like, have you done your knee? Are you out? Are you hurt? What's going on? And I'm like, no, John Coates just told me, gotta be the flag. And she was crying, and everyone was crying, and Mark was there, and it was really tough because we weren't allowed to keep our teammates, and it was the day after the next day was going to be the announcement. But that night we had a practice game in Illawarra against Lithuania.
Yep.
A warm-up game, and was really close friends with Shane Hill, who was my roommate. And I'm saying, geez, I got to say something. I can. And it wasn't until halfway at the end of that game. We were playing Lithuania in this warm-up game, and we were winning. There's like a couple of minutes to go, and there's a free throw. Someone was shooting free throws. And I went back, and I went during the game, I tapped on Hope. I said, Hope, I can't do this. I feel like I'm committing treason or something. I feel like I just being disloyal to I've got to share this news with the team. And we'll just tell the team, goes, yeah, I can't keep it a secret. And we both agree. So after that game, we had all the players. We got there, and we some of the officials that we just wanted to be the coaches and our immediate people close to the team that we wanted there. So we kicked out other people that were there.
Yeah.
And again, one of the great moments and the great rewards through that experience was me having the opportunity to share that news with my teammates, the Australian teammates, and incredibly emotional again. I struggled. I was crying, trying to tell them, to share them, because they were very much, and the sport was still very much a part of this incredible honour that I had.
Sure.
But the thing that sticks out as well is the joy that they got from the news that I was sharing with them.
Yep.
Just to see the excitement and the buzz, and just made the moment. Those are the moments I remember just as much as actually stepping foot out in front of 120,000 people and waving the flag.
Absolutely.
The joy that you share with your teammates, just an incredible experience. So it was great fun.
That's amazing. That's an amazing story, Joey. Fantastic.
And I talk about different moments of that whole experience a lot, but I never get sick of. I've repeated and I say it, and I just.
It's a great story, man. It's a great story.
There's plenty more stories I'd love to share with you about carrying the flag and what happened beforehand, but we haven't got enough time for that. But it was. I'm glad we brought it up and we got to share it. Part of our Magic Moments series, which is we've been very self-indulgent. Last week it was you. This week it's me. And we've got to find some more.
There you go.
And
it is what it is, brother.
Find some more magic moments for what's going on next week. But Coach, we've run out of time yet again. Plenty going on. It was been another long episode. And good luck to the editors. We'll try and chop it up and make it a little bit
sexier,
sexier and appetizing. But But it's been a lot of fun to you and me, and I'm sure there's dozens of people out there that want to jump on board and be involved. We'd love to thank the people at NoFilter Media. What an outstanding job they are doing, putting not just this podcast, but a whole bunch of podcasts together. And if you want to, whether it's inspirational stuff, business world, sporting stuff, NoFilter Media is the place you want to go check them out on all the socials and what all the young. You're up to date with all the socials, Coach. I'm not quite across it like you are, but they do a terrific job.
Absolutely, and we're looking forward to continuing on with the podcast, and we'll see everyone again.
We will. Next week. And if you have any questions or any polite discussions that you want to have, we don't respond all that well to some of the negative stuff that goes on the social media, so try and leave that alone. But Andrew Gaze 10 is my Twitter account. I think Andrew Gaze 10 is my Instagram account. And for you, Coach, how do people touch base with you?
I really don't know. I think it's just Lanard Copeland.
Hey, you know what? Just Google Lanard Copeland, and it'll be there.
Yeah, it'll be there.
Well, it's been another great show, Coach. A lot of fun having a chat with you. Hopefully our listeners out there and our viewers get a little bit of enjoyment out of it. And until next week, we say bye for now.
See ya.
This has been a No Filter Media production.
Say what you want.